Before we get into the video, could everyone please subscribe to my Endless Diary Tales channel? Thank you so much. When the paternity test revealed that my daughter's biological father was my wife Mary's first love, Tom, I was heartbroken. I resolutely left after leaving the divorce agreement behind. Before leaving, I commented under their family photo in the friend circle, "Get a divorce. It will make room for you." Just 1 minute later, Mary called. "George, even if Mia isn't your daughter, can you take care of her? How can you be so heartless?" I scoffed and hung up the phone. Their business has nothing to do with me. However, she immediately became anxious again. The day I received the paternity test results with my daughter was exactly the 8th anniversary of my marriage to Mary. I took a deep breath but still didn't dare to open that document until Mary sent me a text message. "George, I'm not going home today. I have no money in my account. Transfer some to me." Only then did I wake up from my dream, slowly opening the paternity test results. The findings hit me like a heavy blow, leaving me dizzy. The daughter I had raised for 5 years turned out to be the child of Mary's first love, Tom. I slowly closed my eyes, and at that moment my heart was surprisingly calm, but my head was pounding painfully. If it weren't for the coincidence of stumbling upon Mary and Tom's scandal, perhaps I would still be in the dark, foolishly raising their child. At that moment, the phone rang again. It was Mary. "Have you seen my message? Hurry up and transfer the money." I smiled wryly, thinking to myself, this is what happens when you run out of money and Tom starts messing around. Only then does he remember me. Do I have the words "easy mark" written on my forehead? I ignored her, picked up the packed luggage, set down the divorce agreement, and prepared to leave this place of sorrow. Before leaving, I opened Mary's Moments and indeed saw a photo of her and Tom playing with their daughter at the amusement park. Mary is really bold, being so blatant before the divorce. How foolish have I been all these years to give her such audacity? Thinking of this, I decisively commented on her social media post, "Get a divorce. It'll make room for your family. From now on, you can be together openly, and it's better for your daughter to be with her biological parents." Then I expected a minute later. Mary's questioning call came in. "George, what do you mean by what you posted in your friend circle? Do you know how others will talk about me when they see it?" I was momentarily at a loss for words. "Mary, you've done something like this, and now you're afraid of what others might say?" I couldn't help but laugh out loud. "Mary, did I say something wrong? Don't you know whose child Mia is? Just get a divorce. I've left the divorce agreement at home. Just sign it." Mary was taken aback by my words and said in disbelief, "You want to divorce me? George, do you have any conscience? Mia is your child. Who have you been listening to? How can you humiliate me like this after 8 years of marriage?" I discovered for the first time that Mary has such thick skin. Her ability to lie with her eyes wide open is truly top-notch. I said hoarsely, "Mary, I had someone do a paternity test for me and Tom." Hearing this, Mary fell silent for a moment, then impatiently said, "George, even if Mia isn't your daughter, can't you take care of her? How can you be so disgusting?" Mary's words exploded in my heart like a bomb. Even though I already knew about her and Tom's scandal, hearing her admit it with my own ears still made my heart ache. What do I really mean to Mary? Once, I had imagined countless times how Mary would react when I exposed her disgrace. I thought she would beg for my forgiveness and admit her mistakes, but I never expected her to so brazenly make me wear this green hat. My heart is bleeding, and the last glimmer of hope for Mary has completely vanished. At this moment, we are all adults now. There's nothing that can be accepted. I coldly hung up the phone. Their matters are no longer related to me. I originally thought it would be best to part on good terms, but now it seems that would be unfair to myself. I need to reclaim everything she did that wronged me. I moved back to the apartment I lived in before getting married. At this time, the sky was getting darker, and one abusive text message after another from Mary came in on my phone. I ignored them and eventually blocked her. This marriage must end. No man can accept that the child he has raised for 5 years is not his own. Although my love for Mia over these 5 years has been genuine, just thinking about Mary's arrogant attitude makes me feel sick, as if I've swallowed a fly. I can't help but feel some resentment towards Mia as well. It's been 10 years, so let's just say I misjudged the person Mary is. Mary and I were college classmates. She comes from an ordinary family, and her parents favor boys over girls, so she can only rely on part-time jobs to make a living. It is her resilience that gradually made me fall for her. It wasn't until I graduated from university that I realized her family didn't prioritize sons over daughters. They simply didn't see her as a person at all. The first time I went to her home, after several hours of winding mountain roads, I didn't even get a hot meal. Her parents immediately demanded a dowry of $1 million, along with a house and a car. When my parents found out, they didn't say much. After all, this condition isn't excessive for our family. They just worried that Mary is a brother-supporting demon, which poses a significant risk for such an in-law. At that moment, Mary found me, her eyes filled with tears as she apologized. "George, let's end this. I don't want to burden you. I love you and I've been very content these past 2 years." At that time, full of youthful vigor, I believed that love could conquer all. With my persistence, we got married. It turns out that my parents' concerns were justified. Mary's family took the dowry, moved to the city, and spent their days idling without ever thinking about making money. Her brother dropped out of school at 20, indulging in drinking, gambling, and all sorts of vices. Whenever he ran out of money, he would ask Mary for more. He was clever. He only needed a few thousand each time. But over the 8 years, the amount of money they took from her family, not counting the house and car, added up to several million. In fact, saying that I'm not annoyed is a lie. It's just that my parents have been enduring it for the sake of Mary giving birth to Mia. I never expected that now even the daughter isn't mine. Every time I think of Mary's increasingly arrogant attitude and her vampire-like relatives, I can't help but regret it. What kind of spell have I been under for these 8 years that I am so devoted to her? To my surprise, Mary came to my door the next day. "George, you actually dare to block me? Do you have someone else outside?" She pushed me aside and rushed into the room, searching everywhere, trying to find evidence of my infidelity. Unfortunately, I disappointed her. I am not as pathetic as she is. I closed the door, walked up to her, stared at this familiar yet unfamiliar face, and calmly said, "Have you signed the divorce agreement?" Mary was taken aback, staring at me in disbelief. "Are you really going to divorce me, George? I saved you back then, and this is how you treat me now? After 8 years of marriage, you say you want a divorce just like that? Has your conscience been eaten by a dog? I almost died to save you, don't you remember?" I smiled, straightened my body, and looked down at her. "Did you save me for my sake? Or did you not want to live in the first place? In other words, marrying me wasn't for the money, was it, Mary? After 8 years of marriage, haven't you exploited my guilt enough?" I looked at her sarcastically. Mary's face flashed with a hint of panic, but she still held her head high and questioned, "What exactly are you talking about? I can't understand you at all." "Can't understand, can you?" I pulled out my phone and held it in front of her. "Can you see who these 2 people hugging and kissing are? I heard everything you and Tom said last time. You said you've been with me all these years for the money, and you said Mia really misses her biological father." I said each word clearly. Mary's face instantly turned pale. I discovered Mary and Tom's scandal last week. That day, thinking about how Mary had been having stomach pains lately, I went to buy some traditional Chinese medicine and made a nourishing soup for her stomach. I packed it in a thermos and drove to her company, planning to pick up my daughter Mia afterward. When I arrived at the company, the receptionist looked at me and asked in confusion, "Sir, did Mary leave something behind?" I shook my head. "No, I brought her some stomach-nourishing soup." As she left, the front desk was even more confused. "Mary just left. I thought you picked her up," she said. "She said she was going to a class reunion. The class monitor didn't notify me." I frowned and had no choice but to carry my things back to the car and let the nanny go pick up Mia. In the way my heart was filled with unease, I asked the class monitor, and he said he had never organized a reunion for college classmates. So it must have been a gathering from Mary's middle or elementary school days. But why did she lie to me about going to socialize? Otherwise, I wouldn't have made her soup so early, worried that she would feel unwell after drinking at night. The doubts grew deeper, so I simply tracked the location of Mary's car. Her car was sent for maintenance last week, and she has been driving my car these past couple of days. When I found the car at a certain club, I immediately rushed over. A man's sixth sense is very accurate. He always feels that Mary is hiding something from him. As soon as I reached the third floor, I saw Mary and Tom embracing each other. At that moment, my ears were buzzing, and my heart felt like it was being pounded heavily with every breath, bringing pain. Thinking back to how Mary had been so distracted recently, I had assumed it was due to work stress, but I never expected it was because an old lover had returned. I know the man who was hugging my wife, Tom, Mary's high school classmate and first love. I met him on our wedding day when he had just arrived from abroad to congratulate us on our marriage. Mary generously introduced him to me, so I didn't pay much attention to their relationship. After the wedding, Tom returned abroad. Over the years, I hardly heard Mary mention him, and I thought she had long forgotten that naive high school romance. I didn't expect that after 10 years they were still inseparable. After a while, Mary and Tom finally separated, panting for breath. "Tom, how long can you stay this time? Mia hasn't seen you yet. You are her biological father." Mary's voice was a bit off, probably because she had been drinking. Every time she drank, her voice would become hoarse, and her stomach issues would flare up. So in the past, I would always prepare hangover soup in advance, but now I stood here with a feeling like a complete fool. The courage I originally had to confront Mary vanished without a trace. At that moment, Mia is not my daughter after all. My hands and feet couldn't stop trembling, my palms were drenched in sweat, and I felt completely crushed. My mind was blank. At this moment, Mary spoke again, and even though there was a wall between us, I could hear her words clearly. "Tom, I was with George for the money. Are you still resenting me for not waiting for you and marrying him? But I really had no choice. When you went abroad to study, my parents insisted that I drop out of school and marry the old bachelor in the village. You know they would do anything. I was only 20 years old. I couldn't ruin my life." Perhaps recalling the past, Mary's voice was a bit choked. "Over the years, do you know how much I've missed you?" "Don't say that, Mary. I don't blame you. I just hate myself for not coming back sooner. Otherwise, you wouldn't have had to suffer so much. Hard work." Mary's current job was found for her by a friend. In an easy clerical position, she strongly insisted that women in the new era shouldn't be full-time housewives. Most of the time, Mia is like a nanny taking care of her. Aside from doing some simple tasks, she just goes shopping and gets beauty treatments. In these 8 years, where has she worked hard? I lower my head, my eyes feeling incredibly sore. Mary has kept it from me for so long. My daughter is already 5 years old, and she has never revealed her background. I watched the two of them confiding in each other, expressionless, tightly holding the thermos with bitter smiles on their lips. "Mary, you really are something." After being caught by me, Mary bit her lip and said, "George, I just haven't seen Tom for too long and got carried away by my feelings. Can't you forgive me? George, I saved your life." She ran in front of me, grasped my hand, her face full of pleading. "Everyone makes mistakes. I swear it will only be this once." Okay, she brought up the matter of saving me once again, and my heart felt like it was being pierced by 1,000 needles. I once thought that was a manifestation of love, but now I realize it was all a deception. After knowing that Mia is not my daughter, I investigated what happened back then. It turns out that the so-called Mary saved me for love was all a lie. At first, Mary was forced by her mother to drop out of school and marry the village's old bachelor. In despair, she deliberately provoked a mentally ill patient, wanting to end her life. Unexpectedly, she encountered me in that alley. Knowing that I came from a wealthy family, she had an idea and led the mentally ill patient towards me. Then when he swung his knife, she rushed out to save me but ended up getting injured in the back. I still remember how Mary looked at that time. I asked her why she was being so foolish, and her face was pale, her ears were red, and she weakly said, "George, I've actually liked you for a long time." At that time, I had long had a crush on her. Hearing those words, I naturally thought we were in love with each other. After being discharged from the hospital, we confirmed our relationship. Because the wound was deep, she was left with a scar on her back. I once thought about taking her to the hospital to remove the scar, but she hugged my shoulder and playfully winked, saying, "This is my way of showing I love you." So from the very beginning, Mary was acting. Years later, she no longer wanted to continue this act. After all, I was completely devoted to her, wasn't I? Indeed, when I saw her kissing Tom, I didn't have the courage to question it because I was afraid of losing her. When I heard that Mia wasn't my child, I was unwilling to believe it and even had a paternity test done. But reality cruelly shattered my illusions. Mia's really not my child. Looking back now, do I still love Mary? The indifference and annoyance she has shown me over the years keep flashing in my mind. I love the once bright and kind Mary, not the woman who now speaks nothing but lies and is selfish. The Mary the first loved was never real, so why should I continue to be entangled? I looked at Mary, my eyes filled with disgust. Mary, you really have lost your value. I heard Tom is a successful person. Instead of clinging to me, why don't you go after him? What do you want, to drain me dry before you leave? Mary bit her lower lip until it turned white, finally feeling a bit of anger. Since being with her, I had never spoken harshly to her, and now, suddenly changing my attitude, someone as proud as she was would definitely not be able to tolerate it. George, now I want to talk to you properly, but you insist on this. If you want a divorce, then let's get a divorce. Just remember, don't come begging me later. I tugged at the corner of my mouth. Remember to send the signed agreement to the lawyer. Let's consider the money borrowed from your family over the years settled. Mary's face completely fell. She stood up, grabbed her bag, and said angrily, George, you really disappoint me. But Mary did not sign the divorce agreement. I don't know what she is holding on to. Isn't it good for me to support their family of 3? So I decisively hired a lawyer to sue her. She was the one who cheated, and she shouldn't expect to get a single cent of the family assets. These days, Mary unexpectedly hasn't contacted me until her parents came to see me. They seemed unaware that Mary and I were getting a divorce. When they saw me smiling broadly and rubbing my hands together, they said, Good son-in-law, look how long it's been. Your mom and I have been eating vegetarian lately. We haven't touched any meat after learning that Mary cheated. I cut off the financial support I was giving to their family previously. Out of sympathy for Mary, I regularly transferred money to them to prevent them from bothering her. Now that I am no longer that gullible fool, I naturally have to take back all the benefits. In the past, I used to give them 10,000 yen a month for living expenses, which was enough for a family of 3, but I couldn't stand my brother-in-law's gambling habit. Son-in-law, your dad and I have been living so frugally lately, and look at you living so lavishly in such a big house. Isn't that a waste? Her mom smiled at me. Look, your little uncle is about to get married, and he still needs a place to live. My brother-in-law popped out from behind with a cheeky grin. Yeah, brother-in-law, why are you here instead of staying with my sister? What, you want to keep a mistress? Let me tell you, if you really want to make my sister happy, just give me this apartment and then go back and apologize to her. Indeed, if it weren't for Mary, how could they have found this place? Mary's father, rummaging through the cabinets for something to drink, nodded in agreement. I helplessly rubbed my forehead, truly not knowing that others would think I was oblivious. How could they have the audacity to say that my family money is theirs? How could I have supported this group of freeloaders for 8 years? And I are getting a divorce. Didn't you know your sister cheated? But she wants to leave with nothing. What's the point of causing a scene here? You might as well ask your sister what good things she has done. After all, her lover is also very wealthy, much richer than I am. In a single sentence, they shifted their focus, watching their hurried figures leave. I suddenly looked forward to this grand drama. After all, could Tom, this successful person, accept these 3 vampire relatives? And how long could this former couple withstand the impact of reality? They had separated back then because of reality. Both Mary and Tom were victims of their original families. In their hearts, the future and prospects were the top priority, while love had to take a back seat. So when Tom got the opportunity to study abroad, he decisively broke up with Mary, even though it was hard to part. Soon I received a call from Mary, and as soon as she opened her mouth, she scolded me. George, are you out of your mind? What nonsense are you saying to my parents? Now they've gone to Tom's company. Are you satisfied now? I chuckled softly, feeling a sense of relief in my heart. Not satisfied, huh? This is just the beginning. Let me tell you, Mary, if you don't divorce me, they'll find someone to stir up trouble at Tom's place. I heard he just got promoted to general manager. Right? Mary paused for a moment, tired, and said, George, can we not make a fuss? Let's just say we had a fight. Can we make up now? I promise you I won't have any more contact with Tom." I laughed and said, "Mary, do you still think I'm jealous? I admit I once loved you very much, but now you're not worth it at all." She scoffed, her tone full of disdain. "Stop pretending, George. After 8 years of marriage, do you think I don't know? How could you bear to part with me? How can I bear to part? In the past, you disguised yourself so well that I didn't realize you were such a selfish person. Mary, do you know that now when I hear your voice, I feel disgusted?" These were the harshest words I had ever said to her in 8 years of marriage. She hung up the phone with a snap. After leaving Mary, I lived a relaxed and pleasant life, drinking and chatting with friends and spending time with my parents. However, I haven't told my parents about the divorce yet. I plan to wait until everything settles down before I do. On the weekend, I received a call from a college classmate saying that the class monitor organized a reunion, and it had been a long time since we last met. As soon as I reached the door of the private room, I heard Mary's voice. "I don't know what's wrong with George lately. He insists on divorcing me and doesn't even care about the kids." Her voice sounded pitiful, drawing sympathy from everyone. "Don't worry, we will definitely talk to George properly. You have been married for 8 years and men, well, they just care about their pride. That's right. Who didn't know that you almost lost your life to save him? If George had any conscience at all, he shouldn't have divorced you." A girl stood up for her. "Alas, I love George. What can I do?" Mary continued to perform. At this moment, someone couldn't help but speak for me. "Mary, is what you're saying true? According to you, George doesn't care about anything. But why is it that every time I see someone picking up the kids, it's him?" The speaker was our university class monitor, whose son is in the same kindergarten as Mia. Because of the kids, we have been in touch quite a bit. "What's wrong with picking up the child? You men only know how to fuss over these trivial details. We women do so much and you don't care at all. But picking up a child is suddenly a responsibility." The girl who just defended Mary felt a bit awkward. I smiled as I pushed the door open and walked in. The class monitor stood up and warmly greeted me. "George, come and sit." Everyone else also chimed in. "George, long time no see." They had tacitly left the seat next to Mary open. I sat down steadily, glancing at Mary, thinking to myself that her acting skills had improved. Looking at those red eyes, if I weren't the person involved, I would really think she was the victim. I looked around at my classmates and smiled, saying, "Hello everyone, long time no see. I'm here at the reunion today for 2 reasons. First, to catch up, and second, to let you all know that I have filed for divorce from Mary. Of course, to prevent any rumors from spreading that I did something to wrong her and tarnish my reputation, I need to clarify the reason for my divorce from Mary is that she cheated." Mary's smile instantly froze, her face filled with embarrassment, clearly not expecting me to bring this up in public. After all, which man would publicly proclaim that he had been cheated on? The classmates were all stunned, their gazes fixed on Mary. After reaching my goal, I briefly said goodbye to the class leader and turned to leave. Just as I arrived at the elevator door, Mary caught up with me, breathless, and called out, "George, what do you really mean?" I stopped in my tracks, turned around to look at her and said, "Didn't you already know what I meant?" Mary stared at me intently, took a deep breath and said softly, "George, I never thought about separating from you. I'm just angry that you've changed. You used to care for me in every way. Yes, I admit that I was wrong about Mia. But if you love me, why can't you accept it?" Even though I had long lost my feelings for Mary, hearing her shameless words still sent a chill through my heart. You see, this is the arrogance of someone who is loved. 10 years of feelings felt like a farce. Mary knew it would hurt me, yet she took advantage of my love recklessly. Now that I have withdrawn my love, she can't stand it anymore. I couldn't be bothered to waste more words with her, so I said slowly, "Mary, are you trying to reconcile with me because you can't bear to part with me, or because you've realized Tom can't offer you better conditions? After all, that group of vampire relatives of yours is no joke." Mary's expression stiffened, revealing the embarrassment. Out of fear of having her hidden feelings exposed, she reached out and grabbed my arm. "George, how can you think like that? We've been married for so many years." The corners of my mouth lifted. "See, you're eager to come back and reconcile with me, but in the end it's still about money. Mary, I've loved you for almost 10 years and we've been married for 8. Do you really think I'm easy to bully?" Even if I used to love you, I don't anymore. If you keep pestering me, I guarantee you won't get anything, and Tom won't have a good ending either." Mary's face instantly turned pale. Indeed, I had almost forgotten how impulsive I used to be. In my senior year, there was a little thug who often harassed female students at the school gate. One day, when Mary was waiting for me to pick her up on the street, that thug set his sights on her and even made lewd comments. When I drove over, I happened to see Mary nearly in tears from fear. I immediately beat the thug up and ended up paying tens of thousands in medical bills. But after he was discharged from the hospital, I gave him another beating until he no longer dared to show up near the school. At that time, Mary asked me if I was going too far, and I just smiled while rubbing her face and said, "My person, no one else can touch." Now I still say this: my things others cannot touch. If they do, they must pay the price. Perhaps I was too humble in front of Mary before, which allowed her to become increasingly arrogant, forgetting that our family also has a reputation in the area. "Getting rid of Tom is as easy as pie for me." Mary reacted in a softer tone, saying, "George, I just feel like you're too busy with work and don't have time for me. You know I can be stubborn, but if I didn't love you, why would I have stayed by your side for so many years? I understand that you can't accept Mia's background, so how about I have another child for us? If you really can't accept it, I'll send Mia away." Hearing this, I looked at Mary seriously. "Mary, you and Tom really are a perfect match, a pair of scumbags. I stopped loving you a long time ago, and now just seeing you makes me feel sick. If I don't see the divorce agreement tomorrow, neither you nor Tom can think about getting away. Remember tomorrow." Mary's face was pale, her eyes flickering with unease and fear. She knew I meant what I said. At the moment the elevator doors closed, I saw her mouth open, but I was at a loss for words. The next day, I divorced Mary as I wished. As for Mia's custody, it naturally went to Mary, but the child had previously been sent back to the old house where my parents were taking care of her. Now I had to let her take the child away. Seeing Mary and me return at the same time, Mia raised her lovely smile, hugged my thigh and asked, "Daddy, why haven't you taken me to the amusement park for so long?" Mary's face flashed with a hint of embarrassment. For the child, I really can't bring myself to speak harshly. After all, I raised her myself. I bent down and gently pinched Mia's little face. "Sweetheart, Mia's going to take you out to play and Daddy will come later, okay?" Mia nodded firmly and gave me a kiss on the cheek. "Then Dad, remember to come early." I nodded in response and waved goodbye to Mia. Mom noticed something was off and poked my arm. "What's going on with you and Mary? Is it necessary to take all of Mia's things just to take her out to play?" "We're divorced," I calmly stated this fact as if I had dropped a heavy bomb, leaving my parents wide-eyed in shock. In their shocked gaze, I detailed the course of events. My mother was so angry she nearly fainted. Over the years, for Mia's sake, they had shown Mary a lot of tolerance, but to think that their granddaughter, whom they had cared for over 5 years, was actually someone else's child was simply too much to bear. After calming my parents down, I drove back to the apartment. Perhaps it was my fault. Mary only asked for custody of Mia. It would be foolish to turn down money. This way I wouldn't have to hire a lawyer to fight a lawsuit that I no longer wanted. That villa I've lived in for 8 years, even though I decorated it myself, the memories inside are just too terrible. After the divorce, my parents were eager to arrange blind dates for me. After all, I was almost 30 and still didn't have my own children. I refused all of them, citing my inability to forget Mary as the reason. They were worried that I might do something irrational and try to reconcile with Mary, so they gradually stopped urging me. After breaking up with Mary, the company's profits improved significantly. I devoted myself entirely to work. After all, who would complain about having too much money? However, just at that moment, Mary's eccentric relatives showed up. A group of them barged into my house, and after a late night of socializing, my hangover made my headache even worse. I immediately called the property management to complain and asked to let these people in. Mary's father said sternly, "George, I heard you divorced my daughter, and you didn't even pay her any divorce compensation." Her mother also said, "Yes, Mary has been with you for almost 10 years, giving you her best years, and you actually kicked her out of the house without giving her a penny. Are you even human?" They say businessmen are calculating, and it turns out to be true. "If there are any problems, let Mary come to me," I said. Her mother quickly intervened. No, Mary is too sensitive. She will only suffer here. If there's anything to discuss, just talk to us, and you can give the money to us. I finally couldn't hold back any longer. It seems today is the day they came to ask for money. Just look at this situation. They must have known about their daughter's scandal for a long time. I suppressed my annoyance, sent a message to Mary, and then called the police, stating that someone had broken in to commit robbery. That day, Mary's relatives were taken to the police station. As soon as they entered, they started rummaging around, knocking over several antique vases, and even stealing a few expensive figurines. I had bought toys claiming they would take them home for the kids to play with. No matter the amount, entering a room to commit robbery can be filed as a case. Moreover, the value of the things they destroyed was considerable, and a group of people was detained. It was then that they realized they had gotten into big trouble, and they all shouted that it was Mary's parents who had deceived them, coming to make a scene, only giving them $200 as payment. Mary's parents cried as they explained to the police that they didn't know it was a robbery. They were going to their son-in-law's house, so how could it be considered a home invasion? I took out the divorce certificate and the video of them asking for money and calmly said, "After 8 years of marriage, they have taken at least several million from me. Now that we are divorced, they have no money and come to ask me for more. This doesn't make sense, does it?" As soon as these words were spoken, the police cast sympathetic glances at me, as if to say how I ended up with such a troublesome in-law. After a while, Mary and Tom hurried over, seeing a group of relatives making a fuss in the police station. Mary felt overwhelmed. After figuring out the situation and hearing the amount that needed to be compensated, she felt weak. 1 million, officer. My parents broke things worth $1 million. The police nodded. Mary frowned, looking at her parents who were still shouting for her to seek justice. Unable to hold back her anger, she said, "What do you want to do? Isn't the trouble you've caused me enough? Why don't you just stay in prison for the rest of your lives?" Her mother immediately pointed at her and scolded, "You worthless piece of trash. Your dad and I have raised you for so many years, and now you are making us go to jail? Has your conscience been eaten by a dog? You can't even keep a man. What are you? If it weren't for the fact that the man you found later is useless, would I have gone after George?" Tom's expression also became quite unpleasant. No one likes to be compared unfavorably to their girlfriend's ex. "What do you want me to do, Mom and Dad? You say you gave birth to me and raised me. Hasn't the money I've given you over the years been enough? What else do I have to do for you to be satisfied?" Mary questioned sharply, her eyes filled with despair. Over the years, she has given so much to her family yet received neither love nor respect from them, only endless demands. "I don't want to get entangled with these people anymore, so I turned to leave." At that moment, Mary caught up with me and blocked my way. "George, I'm begging you, please let my parents go this time. They're getting old and can't go to prison, and my brother is about to get married." I laughed at this point. "Mary, you really are filial and magnanimous. If you want me to let them go, that's fine, but they need to compensate me for the things they destroyed in my house." Mary bit her lip. "But we don't have that much money right now. $1 million is not a small amount for you. Just consider it a good deed." "Okay, no way." I shook my head firmly. "Mary, do you think I'm still as foolish as before, not understanding what you're thinking? It's because Tom can't meet your parents' exorbitant demands that you're looking to me to solve the problem, right? Anyway, in the past, whenever they asked me for money, I would always give it." Mary felt a moment of guilt but quickly realized and showed a look of regret on her face. "George, Tom doesn't have a privileged family like you. He has worked hard to get to where he is now, and I can't let him be affected because of me." Mary then asked, "Why should I be the one to get hurt? Isn't it enough that you use me?" As soon as the words left my mouth, I suddenly realized that the emotions I had been deliberately ignoring surged back to the forefront of my mind. I am still sad that these 8 years of marriage have been so unfortunate, sad about Mary's lies and betrayal, sad that the daughter I raised for 5 years is not actually mine. At this moment, Tom walked over and took out his savings from many years to cover the compensation. Since the money was in place, I generously chose to forgive, and the Boo family was released. Before turning to leave, I heard Mary softly say, "Sorry." I didn't look back and walked away briskly into the sunlight. The next time I heard from Mary was 6 months later. I learned from the class monitor at university that Mia and Tom were not getting along well. Tom had little patience and often yelled at Mia. Whenever Mia cried, she would insist on seeing me, which Tom, as her biological father, couldn't stand. However, when Mary saw their daughter crying, she would get angry at Tom, saying he was not as good to Mia as I was. Over time, their once sweet love was worn down by the trivialities of life, leading to constant arguments. A year later, I ran into Mary by chance. That day, I went to pick up my parents' health checkup reports and happened to see her visibly pregnant, going for her prenatal checkup. She looked about 5 or 6 months along. Seeing me alone, she couldn't help but probe. "Long time no see. How have you been living with your wife lately?" I shook my head. "Not married. How about adding a contact method?" Mary's eyes lit up, and she immediately took out her phone from her bag and added me to her contacts. I ignored her, picked up my things and left. I also posted a photo of the three of us on my social media saying, "Long time no see," and made it visible only to Tom. As expected, Mary and Tom had a big fight, and Mia was so scared that she cried. Afterwards, Mary complained to me, saying that Tom doesn't give her the freedom I used to. Why can't he do that? I smiled. Doesn't Mary understand that trusting her like this has only resulted in betrayal? One time, Mary took Mia and me out to eat, and after we got home, Mia accidentally let it slip that she preferred her old dad. Tom immediately questioned Mary if she had been secretly meeting with me. He worked hard for the family all day, and yet his wife was ambiguous with her emotions. Ex-husband, what man could accept that? Mary impatiently shoved Tom, not expecting that Tom would retaliate, resulting in the loss of the child she was carrying. Later, I went to the hospital with a bouquet of roses to visit Mary, and Tom was kneeling on the ground, begging for her forgiveness. Mary's parents were demanding $200,000 in alimony from Tom, threatening to have their daughter divorce him otherwise. Tom got into an argument with them, saying that he had already given the family a considerable amount of money over the years, so why did they always want more? Whenever there was an opportunity, Mary lay in bed, her face full of pain, but no one cared that she needed a quiet environment after the miscarriage. At that moment, 2 police officers entered the hospital room and took Tom away on the grounds of embezzlement. The room was immediately thrown into chaos. I silently placed the rose by Mary's bedside and then turned to leave. Today, as soon as I reached the door, Mary weakly called out to me, "George, it was you, wasn't it? You still hate me." I didn't respond and quickly blocked all of Mary's contact information, resolutely leaving in the sunlight, watching her life fall apart. I finally felt a sense of satisfaction from revenge.